Halston Enterprises was one of the first design houses that really developed licensing in a full-scale program. In the 70s at that time, designers really were not that familiar with it. It was not as extensive as you know today, where you have Ralph Lauren and Calvin Klein, and these are very established names with licensing properties in there. In the 70s at that time, we were really the first to develop a full-scale licensee program where we had master licensees in Mexico and master licensees in Japan, which would entail about 25 licensees under the master one. The domestic was very large, very extensive, and it entailed shoes, accessories, luggage, sheets, towels, way before anyone else really went into it on such a large scale. It was great working with Halston because he was my mentor, he was my teacher. One of the unique things about Halston was if you really wanted to learn, he was truly one of the best teachers. I think that the reason why his staff loved him so much was the fact that he would take that time to really guide you and to show you and to let you learn the process of creating this, and he would be very, very supportive. It was something that is very, very unique to have such a person wanting to help, you know, a younger person in that way. He also had an incredible sense of humor, which a lot of times it's very hard to describe, and he'd love to do tricks on people, and he'd love to laugh a lot and like have a really good time. You'd have to work really hard, and a lot of it was we would work, we would get up at times where it would be everybody would have to be in the salon at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and during collection time, like all design houses, you'd work till about 3 or 4 and then get up again at 8 o'clock in the morning. But he was very, he taught discipline, he taught structure. He taught me how to focus, how to be very clear, how to understand a concept or vision and then bring it into a reality and a product. Whenever you with Halston was like serious energy, like electrical, like people, you know, when they met him, they would get so excited because he had so much energy, and the people around him, he had the most glamorous, beautiful women in the world. He had Liz Taylor, he had Liza Minnelli, he had personalities. Years ago, he designed Sly and the Family Stone's wedding at Madison Square Garden. He was always designing clothes for Liza Minnelli, Liz Taylor. He was fantastic. But that type of energy, he was very charismatic, and people were just attracted to him. He was a real, I guess he was one of the first movie star designers in that sense. We created sort of like the clean, simplistic looks and everything in the early 70s. Before, it was sequins and beads and like spectacular 3D outfits that only Studio 54 really could show the spectacular sparkle about these clothes. And it also, at that time period, we had the ability to bead. He had contracted out a special house in India where they could do extraordinary beading. So the clothes were just phenomenally gorgeous. And the woman just looked like when the pieces were put on her, the dresses, she glittered all over. But they were very light. And when you went to the Studio 54 light, it was like shimmering all the time. Again, glamour, you know, and fashion, and just pure energy. It was really quite spectacular. Studio 54, it was the first place that that everyone, there was such a mix of people, and you could meet Andy Warhol sitting next to Stephen Sprouse, and you would have a lot of people in rock and roll, Mick Jagger, you would have Sly Stallone there, you would have corporate people, and they'd all be sitting there and having a really good time. It was one of the most innovative times because you had a real mix of people, where before, prior to that, was basically going out to dinners at different restaurants, and there never was that type of place where everybody came, and they would have these phenomenal parties where Calvin had done his daughter's Sweet 16 party, and it was incredible. They had 3 white pianos, and it was a spectacular production. And but that's when parties were all of a sudden they became bigger and better, and the lighting and the music, it just brought you into a whole other environment of energy and glamour. And because a lot of people from LA used to come and really just, you know, adore it. It never was anything that was not considered the place. That was it. There was no other real place like Studio 54. Studio 54 was a time where it was separate. There was always beautiful models, there was always movie stars and people, and there were usually parties every night at Studio 54. Going forward, after a certain time, the mood swings started to change, and Studio 54 continued on. Studio 54 had a look with the music and the fashion, and then after that it started to change again.